President Barack Obama was interviewed by CNN. That video was released today, and he had to speak about the fact that the U.S. has come to the conclusion that chemical weapons have most likely been used in Syria. And if that's the case, what might the U.S. have to do about that? Let's listen.
We've seen indicates that this is clearly a big event of grave concern. And we are already in communications with the entire international community. We're moving through the UN to try to prompt better action from them. Although the situation in Syria is very difficult, and the notion that the U.S. can somehow solve what is a sectarian, complex problem inside of Syria sometimes is overstated. I think it is fair to say that as difficult as the problem is, this is something that is going to require America's attention and hopefully the entire international community's attention.
So there's a lot of nuance in there. There's a lot of, it's terrible and we'd like to do something. I'm gravely concerned. The flip side is we probably won't, unless everybody agrees to it. But it is a very difficult situation. We've been trying to figure it out for now, not just months, years at this point. Michael Shure, former host of The War Room with Michael Shure.
Of the former War Room.
Yes. Go.
Well, basically, one of the big takeaways from this, guys, is Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the United Nations, finally speaking about Syria, saying that because of chemical weapons, we as a community have to listen. So what that is that's Ban Ki-moon listening to what the President of the United States is saying, and then sort of beginning to take the lead from an international standpoint. I think the President did, listen, he didn't do anything. He said something to CNN. I don't think we do anybody a service by looking too far in to the President's remarks here. He was careful, and I think that's what he has to be right now.
Yeah, now there's a lot of listening. Ban Ki-moon's listening to Obama. Obama's listening to
Ban Ki-moon. But Ban Ki-moon is saying something, Cenk. Ban Ki-moon is saying we now, if there are chemical weapons in use, we have to start taking action.
Now, the first time around when we had chemical weapons used, the U.S. has concluded that they did use them. Now, in this time around, they're still researching. The U.S. is, the UN is, and of course, it appears they used them even when the UN was in country. Jimmy, thoughts?
I just wish that they would just use the depleted uranium-tipped bombs like we use, like good Christians,
Yeah, that leads to all those birth defects instead of just killing people right away.
Yeah.
Just draw it out a little bit.
Why wouldn't they do that? Or maybe just take some of the Syrians and send them to Guantanamo indefinitely and torture them. Why don't they do good Christian things like we do all the time? So I've always felt this way about war. Like, I think it's funny that there are rules for war. I understand why you need them and why people want them, because you want to retain some of your humanity while you're not being a human being. And I just think it's funny that it's legal if I look at you and I shoot you right between the eyes, but if I throw a chemical at you that kills you, that's wrong. There's something wrong with that. Killing's killing.
It's like punching below the belt in boxing. Why can't you kick the guy in the nuts if you're actually punching him in the face? It's a little bit like that.
It's chemical weapons, but what do people think are inside bombs?
Yes.
Magic? It's fucking chemicals.
I can't believe you got me to laugh about Syria. Okay.
But by the way, the biggest loser here
that.
is the notion of a red line. The red line has had the worst year of anybody because the notion it's never.
He's like, I thought I stood for something. People are going over me, under me, they're going all around me. Okay, now you guys are right, but look, 2 million refugees outside of the country, and apparently another 1.5 at least internally in the country. 1 million of those refugees today, the UN announced, are children. It's a disaster of epic proportions. Actually, the UN is saying this is the worst humanitarian disaster in the last 20 years. So, but no one can answer the question. We haven't been able to do it here. What are we supposed to do about it? Anything, nothing, something in between?
Well,
John, go.
So you sort of implied this in your intro coming back from the video that there was a little bit of vague speech there. Like, I think really he's trying not to piss off anyone with what he's saying, but I think that what he's really doing is providing ammunition for his opponents on any side to say, well, look, he said, some people believe that we can fix the problems. That's probably overstated, but America's probably gonna have to do something. So I don't know what you're supposed to draw from that. And also, this is to what you said about the difference between using a chemical weapon or a bullet to kill someone. If thousands or possibly tens of thousands of people have died in this conflict, should 100 or more people dying from a chemical weapon, should that be what puts us over the line? ethically, what is the distinction there? And I don't know what it's supposed to
Well,
be.
the distinction is diplomacy. It's the way that America is going to work with other nations over there to figure this out. They don't want to go in there. Certainly, they're not going to go in there unilaterally. If they go in and they start something, they're going to have to make sure that Iran doesn't take umbrage with what they do and that Russia has their back in some way, shape, or form. So it is a chess game that the president has to play, which is why he gives a vague statement like that as well.
And he did say that we can send in small arms to the rebels after we confirmed last time around that it was chemical weapons.
Right.
Those arms have not yet arrived. So if hope is on the way, it's slow getting there. It's held up in the mail. But Jimmy,
aren't these
I
the-
still don't know what to do.
I mean, aren't these the same problems in Syria that are all over the Middle East? Aren't these the same problems, the factions that have been warring for hundreds of years?
They are, but Syria doesn't have oil.
Yeah. So that's why we haven't gone in.
So that's why,
Yeah,
okay.
but look, to your point though, massive bombing in Lebanon today as well. And that's because of Shia and Sunni, and that's spilling over from Syria. But this is exactly why people think that we got to do something. Otherwise, it's going to spill over into Syria and Egypt,
That's the
and
best
on
way
and
to
on
say
it
it. That's
goes.
exactly right.
And it's not like Iraq isn't destabilized; it's already destabilized.
Yeah.
To add this into the mix, and we're asking for a lot of trouble. On the other hand, if we go in, we're asking for a lot of trouble.
Definitely.
So this is an incredibly rare case where I, along with the Young Turks panel here, have no idea what we should do.
I'm sure that if we intervene, I think it'll turn out great because it always does.
That's the one side.
When hasn't it worked out for us?
Well, that's
in Egypt,
So your opinion is don't intervene.
I'd say don't intervene. No, no. I wouldn't.
I think you're leaning towards intervening, Michael.
I'm leaning towards something that is bilateral, something not unilateral at all. Because
No,
I
yes,
think
I
that,
agree. We're all agreed on
on a humanitarian basis. When you talk about these children who are refugees and you see all this death, and now you see chemical weapons. Like I know what John's saying, I know what you're saying. That what's the difference between a bullet and a chemical? But there, for some reason, is. And I think if that's a line you draw, however vaguely, then you have to respond in some way. Whether it's diplomatically or whether it's with the community, you got to try it.
All right, John, it's bilateral, it's not unilateral, but we're not going to wait for Russia, otherwise we'd wait forever,
Yeah.
okay? So what do you do, intervene or not?
Well, understand that intervention can come in many different forms. It
Yes.
might be that if the regime in particular uses tactics like chemical weapons, then perhaps we deploy airstrikes or something like that without actually putting boots on the ground. I would be more in favor of that. Anything we can do to protect the civilians without necessarily going to war with the Assad regime, I would be much more likely to want to support.
One thing to look for, guys, when the Senate reconvenes, look at Democratic senators and see what Democratic senators start saying that we should have intervention. That will make a difference because you already have Republicans saying it. The White House is trying to get Democratic senators to do that.
So final conclusion, 3-1, we were against Jimmy Dore. If it's bilateral and they seem to have crossed that red line, I don't want chemical weapons used all over the Middle East. I want to send some message to dictators that there are some bounds to how much they can murder their own civilians if things go bad. Definitely not ground troops. Everybody agrees. Airstrikes, possibly a Libya-like intervention. And I know there's a huge amount of downside, Jimmy, and in the end, you might be proven right anyway.